If you want to improve the experience that you give to your clients without adding all that much extra work for yourself, then let's chat about social media and blogging.
Even in 2022, we still think that blogging is an important part of a photography business. And there are so many different theories when it comes to posting sneak peeks and blogging. So today we're going to share our system for this part of our workflow that helped us achieve a multi-six-figure wedding photography business.
But before we jump into that, we want to introduce ourselves.
I'm Hunter.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're Hunter and Sarah Photography, a husband and wife professional wedding photography team.
We're also educators, and our goal is to help photographers build strong foundations in both their businesses and their personal lives so that they can run profitable and sustainable photography businesses.
So today we're continuing our post-production secrets video series with the why and the how of sharing our images via sneak peek and blog on our website.
However, this is part 4 in a series that really builds off of itself each week. So if you haven't seen the first 3 videos in the series, you should really go check those out now so that this video will make sense to you.
But before we jump into the how we do sneak peeks and blogging in our own wedding photography business, we really want to get a little bit into the why we think they're both important parts of any photography business's workflow.
Yeah, so for most photographers, we know it takes them between 4 and 12 weeks to edit and deliver the, full wedding gallery to their couples. Now, that number can vary drastically from photographer, and even month to month for the same business.
And if you've ever been married, you can probably remember just how excited you were to get your own wedding photos back. And even if you haven't been married, you can probably imagine the anticipation and the excitement. And after all that months and months of planning, the day finally came and went and it happened. And now all that's left, all of that energy is being directed towards just waiting to get those photos back. And we even remember from our own wedding photography experience just how badly we wanted to get those photos back.
Yeah, we believe that a sneak peek and a blog are important parts of the wedding photography process for our couples. First and foremost, to make all the waiting more bearable. It's a little taste test to keep your couples from going crazy as they wait for their full gallery, which is more like a 10-course dinner.
And plus, it just gets them even more excited for their final collection of images, even if it's still weeks or even months away.
It's also just an easy way to keep your social media fresh. If you shoot once per week and always post a sneak peek to your social media pages, that's at least 1 post per week to keep your followers engaged. If you post a blog as well, then there's 2 social media posts for each job that you photograph.
So when it comes to when you post a sneak peek, we feel like there's a little bit of a sweet spot, right? So we know some photographers will actually deliver a handful of images before the night is even over so that their couple can, experience those images before they even go to bed the night of their wedding. But we're not really quite so sure that this is the best use of your time on a wedding night.
Yeah, and here's why. We remember being so overwhelmed by the emotion and the excitement and joy of our wedding day that nothing could have made us more excited. We drove away from our wedding with our love tanks at max capacity. Yeah. We were, at an 11 out of 10 on the excitement and full of joy scale. Because we were already, so euphoric, seeing our wedding photos at that moment may have brought us from an 11 to an 11 and a half. That's just not really a great result for all of that extra work.
Plus, if you're anything like us, you are freaking exhausted when you get home from a wedding day, right? You just spent 8 or 10 or 12 hours working hard for your couples, just giving 100%, 110% of your creative and emotional energy, and oftentimes there's an hour or more of driving on either side of that. So the last thing we do when we get home at or after midnight, after a long day's work, is to sit down at our computer and start culling through images and editing them, right? We just want to go to bed. So we honestly don't think it's worth further exhausting yourself after a long and hard day's work, especially since most of our couples are probably too busy either partying or they're already asleep by the time we get home. And they're probably not even going to check their phones till the next morning anyway.
Yeah. However, sending a sneak peek the day after the wedding is a whole other story. Waking up the morning after your wedding is a bit of a surreal experience. After months or even years of planning, it all culminated in, the biggest, most important day of your lives, and now it's done. It's quiet. The high of the wedding is worn off with a good night's sleep, and your couple, they start going about their day and returning to normal life. So we think this is the perfect time to bring your couples back up to a 10 out of 10 with some wedding images.
Yeah, and if you can't, for whatever reason, post a sneak peek that next morning, maybe you immediately are off and you're shooting another wedding the next day. We just did that this past weekend. then really just do it as soon as you possibly can, right? We like to aim for 48 hours as the absolute max time we'll take to get our couples a sneak peek. And the reason we think 48 hours is kind of like a soft max is because no matter when you send them your professional quality photos, they are just going to be absolutely inundated with iPhone pics that all their friends took pretty much from the moment the ceremony started until the send off at the end of the night, right? And of course, this is totally understandable. In their excitement, they're just so eager to share whatever they possibly can with the world, right? So when they post that first photo to social media and it gets hundreds and hundreds of likes and all these eyeballs and the algorithms push it right up to top to everyone's feeds, you want it to be your photos with your name attached, putting your brand and your very best work from their wedding day in front of their personal network, right? You do not want that first photo that they post to be like a selfie that the bride took in the getting ready suite with her bridesmaid, or some snapshot that the groom's aunt took and at the reception, and you don't want that to be that first photo, right? You want it to be your work.
Yeah. And how you select images for your sneak peek will actually depend on how you plan on posting them. Yeah. If Instagram is the goal, then you're capped at 10 images for a single post. We typically post a sneak peek a day or two after the wedding with 6 to 10 images, and then a more extensive blog 5 to 10 days after the wedding with 30 or 40 images, including those, original 6 to 10 sneak peek favorites.
But no matter how many images we're choosing, those keywords that you learned about back in step 2 are about to come in handy, right? So if you ever paid a lot of attention to bridal magazines, or you follow some of the major players in the industry on social media, you've probably already noticed that most of what they post are portraits of the couple or detail photos from the wedding day, right? Those are most often the ones that the high-end companies and bridal magazines are going to display.
Yeah, and there's a reason for this. These types of images not only express the feel and the aesthetic of the wedding day, but they often make the day look most high-end and beautiful. Of course, if your style is more photojournalistic, maybe it's the more candid, dramatic reception moments that will make the sneak peek, but that's totally up to you.
But no matter which categories you want to include, now that you've called the entire wedding, see step 3, right? Y'all watched that last week. All you have to do is now view all of the 2-star images from those categories that you've selected to be your sort of sneak peek categories, and just choose the very best, 6 or 10 images and go ahead and post them to social media.
Yeah. Here are the 10 images that we selected for Nancy and Ryan's sneak peek. In case you haven't noticed, this is the same wedding that we've been using as an example throughout this video series. Now, you'll notice that there's one detail, 2 of Nancy getting ready, 1 of her with her bridal party, and then 6 portraits that we took. But all 10 of these images have a very clean and common aesthetic.
So, it's 2022. No one reads blogs anymore, right? Well, not so fast. Honestly, wedding blogs may be the one type of blogs that people are still reading nowadays, right? Our blog over the last couple of years has gotten between like 10 and 25,000 hits a year. And our real weddings, our real engagement sessions, and our real surprise proposals are driving a huge chunk of that traffic. So if you aren't blogging your wedding and your portrait photography business right now, we want to really strongly encourage you to consider doing so and really just turn blogging into a regular and consistent part of your workflow for every single job you do.
Absolutely. Here are, the 4 reasons why we still believe that blogs are powerful tools for your business. First, if the sneak peek is like a taste test and the main gallery is like that 10-course dinner, then a blog is an appetizer. It's the perfect in-between, especially if your delivery time is on the longer end, like 8 to 10 or even 12 weeks, then a blog is the perfect way to bridge that gap between the sneak peek and the final gallery and give your couple, a hearty holdover to keep them excited for their 10-course meal main gallery.
Yeah. Now, the second reason why we think you should share a blog with your couples is that they're likely to share it with their own social media and send it to their friends and family via text and email. Just, again, exposing your beautiful work to their personal network yet again. So if you, say, connected really well with a guest or with a member of the wedding party on the wedding day, or even if you didn't connect with them and just some guest was at the wedding and saw how well you loved and served your couple on their wedding day, and then the couple shares the blog that you wrote for them and sends it to that person, it's done. It's over. They're sold. The minute they get engaged, you were the first person they're reaching out to because that has just confirmed the way that you served them on the wedding day, now confirmed by the images and the experience that they saw.
Yeah. Third, a blog is a more substantial way to share your best work and also tell the story of the wedding day from your own perspective. Rather than just sharing an extended sneak peek of 30 to 50 images directly with your clients, posting a blog on your website is an incredible opportunity to express your brand and create a mini shareable portfolio for every single job that's hosted on your own website and brings potential clients right back to you.
So as long as you write from the heart and really share as your true and authentic self, then potential couples who read it will get to know you better. And if they're a perfect match for you and for your brand and your style,
which that's called an ideal client in the marketing world.
Yeah, so if they are your ideal client, they'll begin to fall in love with your work and be more inclined to hire you themselves once they get engaged later on. And attracting the right person, that ideal client, is really the most important goal of marketing. And we can say from our own experience that we have had friends of brides, bridesmaids of past brides, people who are at weddings that we've shot come back and hire us later on. And we mark that up largely, yes, to the way that we serve them in the photos we send, but also, of course, to the way that we create a blog and make them the rock star and share it with them, and they get to share with their personal networks.
Yeah, and kind of along that same vein, if someone reading is not the right fit for you and your personalities don't mesh at all, they'll learn that from how you write your blog and show your images and be less inclined to hire you. And believe it or not, repelling the wrong client is also an important marketing goal.
So finally, blogging is just good for your website's search engine optimization, or SEO. This is basically just the thing that tells Google whether or not a website is worth sending people to, right? So if you blog, people are more likely to find you on Google when they search for things like, the name of your city followed by wedding photography, or the name of the venue you were shooting at followed by family photography, whatever it is that you're actually blogging about.
Yeah. Basically, Google loves a website that's frequently updated. So posting a blog or 3 every week will help show Google that your website is worth bringing searchers to.
So hopefully at this point, we have convinced you that blogging is worth doing. And especially since it's probably not as much work as you think it is. We've built it into a regular part of our workflow, and we blog every single wedding engagement session and surprise proposal that we photograph.
Yeah, and we kept this rule even in 2020 and 2021 when we photographed between 80 to 100, weddings, engagement sessions, and proposals both of those years.
Yeah. So when it comes to blogging, you're going to do basically that same selection that you did for the sneak peek, focusing more heavily on portraits and details, but this time you can allow yourself to be maybe a little bit less strict in the images you choose, right? You're looking for 30 to 50 as opposed to 6 or 10.
Yeah, so since you're no longer limited to those 10 images, you can select that handful of images from other parts of the day, like the getting ready suite, the wedding ceremony, or even just the dance floor. Once you've selected them and put them in the right order, you'll edit them, but more on that next week.
Yeah, so continuing with the Nancy and Ryan theme, here are the 31 images that we selected for their blog. So it includes those same 10 images from the sneak peek plus 21 new ones. So we covered more detail photos, a few shots from the ceremony and reception, which you noticed were not in the sneak peek at all, as well as some additional photos of the wedding party and just a lot more portraits.
Yeah, next, just write a few paragraphs about the couple and their day and do it from the heart. This can be the hardest part for many photographers.
Yeah.
We're photographers, we're not writers after all. And, it doesn't have to be hard. We often see photographers try to do too much, get overwhelmed, and then just give up.
Yeah, we tell our students all the time this quote from John Acuff that I really love, especially as a perfectionist, which is 90% done and shared with the world is better than 100% perfect and stuck in your head, right? If you expect yourself to write some eloquent poetry, or if you expect yourself to encapsulate their entire love story from the day they first met or tell every minute of the wedding day, honestly, you're just setting unrealistic expectations for yourself, and you will never write a single blog, much less 3 a week.
Yeah, so in order to make the process more manageable, we stick with a simple, 3-paragraph model that we learned from some other photographers. The only real rule to aim for is no fewer than 300 words, since, according to most, SEO, Google metrics, anything shorter than that isn't a blog. But don't make it too long or people just won't read it.
Yeah. So this is what most of our wedding blogs actually look like. It's a header image, a keyword-filled title, 3 brief but very personal paragraphs, followed by a selection of their images, exported at web quality, by the way, so that the page loads more quickly, And then with the full vendor list tagged and linked down at the bottom. And then finally, just a quick call to action in case anyone discovered us through this blog, but wants to continue on, see more of our work, or maybe connect with us.
Yeah, and that's it for this week.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Our hope is that this video has just given you another step as you think about creating your own post-production workflow for your wedding or portrait photography business.
Yeah, if you want more helpful free content for photographers, as well as a community of other people who are also building their photography businesses, we'd encourage you to join our Facebook community, Mastering the Wedding Photography Biz with Hunter and Sarah.
So next week we're going into the sort of biggest question in the whole post-production process, which is how do I edit photos, right? So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss any of our new content.
Turn on notifications.
Yes, don't turn them off.
Darsh. And finally, if you want to, if you found this video helpful, if you have any questions or comments, or if you'd like to add anything you feel like we missed, feel free to comment below.
But guys, links for all of these things are in the description. See you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.